بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت تجعل الحزن إن شئت سهلا. يقول رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. اللهم ارزقنا الإخلاص في النية والقول والعمل. آمين. We praise Allah, we thank Him, we ask Him for forgiveness, for mercy and for guidance, and to protect the nation of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to raise his rank alayhi salatu wassalam. Take a moment to put a sincere intention in your hearts, barakallahu feekum, wanting the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Barakallahu feekum. MashaAllah, we have a lot of viewers joining in very quickly. Wa alaikum assalam ya Aba Zakaria, brother الأخ سمير السيد. وعليكم السلام، بارك الله فيكم. الأخت مرفت النقوط، أهلا وسهلا، الله يكرمكم. brother فازال قادري، وعليكم السلام. sister أمل الحسين، بارك الله فيك. It's good to see you watching with us. and sister ضحى صيداوي. محمود صوان، أهلا وسهلا أخي محمود، كيف حالك؟ إن شاء الله بخير. أبو زكريا and sister روعة، أكرمكم الله. sister Nasreen Ahmed from Pennsylvania, USA. Barakallahu fiki. You straight away gave us where you're from. It's good for everyone to let us know where they are calling from. Barakallahu fikum. Abdullah, ahlan wa sahlan. Ya ahlan wa sahlan. Allah yukrimukum. Allahu yahfadukum. Sister Nafisa and brother Adil, ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. Allah yubarik fikum. Wa alaykum assalam, akhi Mahmoud. Today inshallah, barakallahu fikum, ahlan wa sahlan بالأخ عمر مدني من السويد. يا بارك الله فيك، يا أهلا وسهلا. هذا من خلقك وأدبك، بارك الله فيك. أنتم المنورين، الله يحفظكم. Today is inshallah ta'ala we're going to talk about something very important, something that goes to deal with the judicial system in Islam and how we talk about things and how we actually look and judge things in Islam. Still from Finland, yes. Also, I wanted to say something to all of you before the start of the lesson, that because of you, mashallah, we've had 4,400 views on the last lesson. So we've improved by 2,000 views from the previous lesson, mashallah. The one before that had also 4,000 views. And I know that we are working on this together. So barakallahu fikum. We had about 250 or 60 shares. That's good because we're not using any boosting, we're not putting any dollars in, so it would be fantastic if we can continue this effort. And all it took from all of you, barakallahu fikum, is few touches of your fingers, giving it a bit of thought and a few seconds of your time, and alhamdulillah we had so much turnout and it was good to see. So barakallahu fikum, this goes to show the effort that when we put it in together and we network together as a team, we can see the alhamdulillah the fruit of our work. We have as well sister brother Abu Walid Hazim, ahlan wa sahlan, wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. So take a moment now to send all your friends and all the people that are with you the link on your WhatsApps. Take a second, even if you have to exit the lesson for 1 second, go on WhatsApp and share the link of this lesson. It's easy to do. You just press I think on the screen and somewhere it'll tell you share link, copy it, put it on your WhatsApp, send it to everyone, and the same thing on your Facebook. You can do the same. Barakallahu fikum. We have sister Lulu'a watching as well. It's good to have you with us. Barakallahu fiki. May Allah grant you paradise, you and our other viewers. Barakallahu fikum. Alhamdulillah, it's good to see you all here. Also, we had an improvement on the YouTube channel, which is good to see. So now we're up on 168. So for those of you who haven't yet done that, please do go on YouTube, type my name, Wissam Saad, and then you will find my image, click on it, and then it will take you to my page. And what you do then is you just follow the link which is subscribe, you press the word subscribe, and inshallah ta'ala you will be with us on the YouTube channel, and that's very important as well. So tonight's lesson may not be a very long one, as usually is the case. And also I wanted to get your feedback on something. One of the viewers that was watching, she sent me a message, and she said that with the salams and the give and take between you and me, doing the lesson in an interactive way, because I always respond, even if I have to stop the thought of the lesson for a few seconds and then talk to you and acknowledge who's present with us. It's causing, well, our sister thinks that it's causing a bit of delay or a stoppage. Maybe I can just give the lesson and without interacting with you guys. Barakallahu fikum, my brothers and sisters out there. So tell me what you think. Are you of the thought that we can leave somebody from my helpers to keep returning your salams, or do we keep it interactive the way we're going in an easy, laid back way? I don't mind either way. I just want your thoughts on this. If you think that we should just give the lesson and not interact, or do you think that we can continue to interact and it's fine, you're not missing on any knowledge and you're not getting lost in the thought processing because of what some may perceive as interruptions? If you can give me feedback here now tonight, do we continue being interactive? If you're all go for it, put 1. If you want to stop and just me giving the lesson without interacting with you on the screen, send me 2, and inshallah ta'ala we will see what we're going to do. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, Islam Isa, and we have Fodai Jadama. I hope I did mention your name right. Where are you from, Fodai? If you can let us know. Hi, back to you as well, and assalamu alaikum. Sister Fatima, barakallahu fiki, akramakillah. And we have as well Sister Lisa, she pressed 1. Abu Zakaria is saying 2, so you'd rather that we give the lesson just without too much interaction. Jamal Omari is 2 as well, without too much interaction. And Fatima is saying no, let's continue to interact. Okay, yeah, that's another thought. We can, when before we put the video on YouTube, we can eliminate these and continue with the lesson as in interacting this way, and then we can change. We have Sister Kawkab with us. Barakallahu Fik, it's good to have you with us. And Sister Amina Saad, my daughter, is watching, which is good to see. Abu Zakaria, I'm lost. What we're saying, Abu Zakaria, if you want us to continue interacting with the viewers, send 1. If you want me not to interact with the viewers, send 2. And this way I'll just give the lesson all the way through without acknowledging anyone that has just joined us or making comments or stopping for answering a question. So tell me what you think, all of you. Ismail, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh from Abu Dhabi. It's good to have with us Ismail Okidi, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. MashaAllah. Yes, Allah yubarik fikum. It's good to see your ideas. Maybe at the start, few minutes, and at the end could be the interaction. Yep, that's another way of doing it. Ebian Aji, give the lesson without interaction, because when you rewatch it at a later, interactions are kind of annoying. Yep, I see your point. Taj Yassin, barakallahu bikum. Allah ta'ala yahfadukum jami'an. It's good to see all of you out there. Alright, so yeah, keep sending your comments and we'll see how we go. Let me tell you that at the start, when I first started this lesson, I thought I'm not going to read off a book or a paper. I just wanted to be going heki public with you without really just putting a paper and reading in front of me. And I felt and I thought that people were generally more interested in the lesson if it is of this nature. Maybe we will reduce those interactions a little bit, and maybe we'll have some interventions every now and then. And look, there's no way to please everyone out there. Allah yubarik fikum. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. See, like John Gianni from Indonesia is saying assalamu alaikum shaykhi with 2 lovely smileys. You can't not respond to that and say wa alaikum assalam. Hamza al-Jamal does not have a problem. She is putting thumbs up. I think that's what she means. So we'll see how we go, all of us together. But again, a reminder to all of you to go on my YouTube channel, find Wissam Saad, press subscribe. if you haven't done that yet. And if you want me to add you on my WhatsApp list, please send me your number here or on my WhatsApp number, which is 61402092092, and I will add you on my WhatsApp list. Maybe some of our viewers can assist with that. Barakallahu fikum. Today's lesson, inshallah ta'ala, has to do with the Islamic judicial system. And this particular hadith, which is hadith number 33, we're going to talk about this issue, which is an important, very important issue, and maybe we'll touch on some things here and there so that we can try to elaborate on the topic a little bit and try to see where we are at in terms of our own discipline when compared to what we are supposed to do in accordance with the laws of Islam and the rules that are set by our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So this hadith is hadith number 33. As usual, I will mention the hadith in Arabic, and then I will interpret the meaning of the hadith in English, and then I will go a little bit deeper to try and give you a better explanation or understanding of the hadith. So al-hadith الثالث والثلاثون. So this is hadith number 33, الثالث والثلاثون. عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: لو يعطى الناس بدعواهم لادعى رجال أموال قوم ودماءهم، لكن البينة على المدعي واليمين على من أنكر. حديث حسن رواه البيهقي وغيره هكذا وبعضه في الصحيحين. This is now the text of the hadith that I've just given you. Barakallahu fikum. So this hadith that I've just mentioned to you, wa alaykum as-salam, Ustad Hussein Subh. See what happens? You get people like Ustad Hussein, and now we have to acknowledge him. He's a dear friend, and it's good to see him there. Wa alaykum as-salam, brother Samir al-Sayyid, akramakallah. Barakallahu fikum. Yes, all of you put the intentions in your heart. So the hadith that I've related to you is on the authority of Ibn Abbas, the son of Al-Abbas, the uncle of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. May Allah approve of the both of them, which is Ibn Abbas and his father. He said that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam said that if people were to be given upon every claim they make, just by simply merely making a claim, due to their claim being given what they claimed, then there'll be a lot of people out there who would claim a lot of rights of the people, a lot of the monies of the people, and maybe the blood of the people, and claiming even further than just money. But the Prophet ﷺ says the burden of proof is upon the claimant, and the defendant is owed, it is upon him to take an oath. So we will explain what this hadith means so that we know what this is about, because it is always about when people have a dispute and we have two disputants. We call them disputants in Islam. These disputants, the two people that are disputing something, there is usually someone who is claiming something and we call him the claimant, and there is the other one who is the defendant. So the plaintiff, the claimant, that's another word for claimant. We call him al-mudda'i in Arabic. He is called plaintiff or claimant. And the opposite side, who's being accused of something, who's the claimant is pressing charges against, is called the defendant. So we have a claimant and we have a defendant. It's good to see many more people joining in. Barakallahu fikum. So when we look at this situation and we look at the claimant and the defendant, we first must go back to the hadith to say that the Prophet ﷺ said, لو يعطى الناس بدعواهم. This law means if people were to be given anything simply following a claim, and they make a claim and then just because of the claim they are given what they've claimed, then there will be no justice. And Islam brought justice to people all around the world, and that's why this particular rule in Islam, it protects the rights of the people, it protects the rights and the families and the inheritances it protects the honor of the people, their lands, their livelihoods. This is all very, very important. And if we didn't have this rule that the Prophet ﷺ laid for us, then people would live in chaos, and we would have a lot of problems between people when it comes to this matter. So we have to understand that Islam brought in this rule, and through this rule only, which the whole world took from Islam, by the way, even the conventional judicial systems that run in many countries around the world, they rest on the notion of the person is presumed innocent until it is proven that he is guilty. You've probably heard this sentence in movies, you've probably seen it in courts of law, you probably read it in some literature or texts, but the truth of the matter is, following this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, yes, it is that when the claimant is making a claim and is pressing charges against a defendant, not in a court of law, in reality. So if there is a charge that he is laying against, we call this pressing charges. When you press a charge against another Muslim, you are the one, the plaintiff, you are the one going against what is apparent. And because you are going against what is apparent and against what has been established in the past, for instance, this person is known not to steal on the job for the past 25 years. So somebody is coming in and he's claiming that this person steals. So this person, now the plaintiff who's making the claim, he is going against what is apparent. What is apparent is that this person has been working for 25 years and he never steals from his boss. But this plaintiff is making that claim. So he is the one going against what has not been established in the past. So in the past, we didn't know this person to be a thief, for instance. And because this plaintiff is coming against something that is known or has been established in the past, or that is apparent, apparently this guy has been working and never stole, the burden of proof, which is al-bayyina, the burden of proof, meaning the onus is on the person making the claim, now sits with him. So he is charged with producing the evidence because he is the one going against the defendant, claiming something that we did not know about the person from before. So when Islam brought this rule, the whole matter now is organized so people can have a life free of liability because of simply somebody making a claim. Imagine being liable every time somebody just simply makes a claim against you. You see, Islam came to organize all of that, and Islam gave us a whole set of laws and laws with processes for so that we can take these steps as part of a judicial system and procedure. And by doing that, Islam protects us from any liability derived from a mere claim that is made against us. And these laws have been enacted in Islam to protect you and me. So if we go to a judge in Islam, we are fully protected. Why? Because the burden of the proof rests with the person who is making the claim, who is the claimant. So that is something that we have to fully understand to realize the importance of our religion, how beautiful it is, how organized it is. So we can't in Islam just go and claim something and through power or dynasty we can acquire it. That is the law of the jungle, when the strong is the poor. Unfortunately, you see it today everywhere, and a lot of people keep making claims. And on the issue of making claims, before we go into the deeper technical details, if you wish, about this, Allah yubarik fikum, all of you out there, we're going to talk about tahsin al-dhann. And a lot of people these days have this disease that they've acquired, which is su' al-dhann. Su' al-dhann is a disease. It is one of those diseases of the heart. If it occupies you, you start having a lot of problems. And guess what happens? A lot of people make claims either in the back of the people or to their faces that are not true. And you know, for the life of me, as they say in English, you start wondering, why are they making these claims? you dig a little bit deeper and you see that this is their inclinations, their temptations, their inner selves, which is already want meaning accustomed to everything that is bad, because that's how your personal inner self usually is. And they just consider that their most appropriate, if you want, and their most valid way of judging things and judging people and making claims. Wrong. This is not the Islamic way. You cannot simply, because you are ill-minded, it doesn't matter how much experience you've got in life. It doesn't matter if you read people too well. You know, those people who thinks, oh, I see it, I feel it. You know, I've been here, been there, been around. I can tell you now that this is, I know he is lying. Like, how do you know he is lying? How do you know that he stole? How do you know that he did this for the purpose of hurting you? How do you know all these things? And I'll tell you something. If you suddenly go back to check how strong you are in religion, and you find that you are really weak in religion and the knowledge of the religion, in your application of the religion, know this is a clear indication that you are counting most of your judgments, wal-iyadu billah, on being an ill-minded, bloody-minded person. The term in English is bloody-minded, meaning someone who thinks badly at the first instance or the appearance of something. And usually why they do this is because they're thinking of plus and minus, meaning, I'll explain in a minute, they see something. Automatically, if the first apparent outcome from what they're seeing is a minus towards them, they start ill thinking of the other person and they make the claims. A'udhu billah, this is not the way to live. If you change your method of living, if you start really using, instead of being ill-willed, you become well-willed or good-willed, okay? Not ill-minded, but good, well-minded. If you start using intelligence, and the scholar said to be someone who can actually apply husn al-dhan, requires intelligence, requires someone to be smart. Why? Because you have to outsmart your inner self and find ways, like someone who removed a seat whilst seeing you coming, and you are thinking to yourself, you see, he disrespected me, and you're making a claim to other people around this person that this person hates me, he disrespects me, he saw me coming, he removed the seat. Little did you know, because you don't have intelligence and emotional one at that, you didn't allow for the possibility of a million things. And to allow these possibilities, you need to be smart. For instance, he may have received a call that someone just parked their car, leaving their car, they fell, and it's an older lady. Bring any chair, and that was the only chair he saw. If you know that after you made your claim, you're gonna feel this small. You know why? Because suddenly you're gonna think to yourself, Ya Allah, why did I jump to that conclusion? Not only do people jump to these conclusions in their heads, but now we reached a time in this community, and in our community, our global community, if you want, Muslim global community, where people quickly jump to these assumptions, make the claims, and if they knew the truth, or they had that intelligence, which is lacking in a great way, they would have had a life with a lot more rest, a life with peace. مَنْ حَسُنَ ظَنُّهُ طَابَ عَيْشُهُ. So if you start well thinking about your brothers and sisters, not to ill think about them, but to well think about them, and you know what they're trying to do and to achieve, you will have a life which is a lot easier, and you can sleep at night without thinking, you know, today 18, 19, 20 things happened with me because my wife did that, and my child did this, and my co-workers did this, and my friends said that, and every one of them meant something bad. Maybe the bad is in the way you are thinking, and not maybe it is because you had no dalil and they didn't attack you, and it was something not directly said to your face about why they did what they did or how they're feeling about what you did. It was just the way they looked at you. Like a lot of people tell me, you see them, they didn't say to me bye on the way out. That's because they were upset from what I did. Ya akhi, they may have forgotten. They may have just received a message and it upset them. they really didn't see you. You know how you walk past people and you don't see them? You just keep walking past them. It doesn't mean that you have to take it literally. This is not considered evidence. And the smarter you are about these things, the better and the easier of a life you will have. That's why it requires intelligence. حسن الظن يحتاج إلى ذكاء. So you can train your mind and train your inner self to always try to see what's good in it. Like, you know, when people are usually friends talking about everything together, and then someone sees that two of his, because they're always a trio, but he sees these two walking and they were together, but then one of them called another one and he's walked with him, and this guy is thinking, hang on, what's going on? Usually we're three discussing everything. Something evil is happening. Maybe they want to drop me from the friendship. I'm giving you these silly examples, but they are important because you can measure other examples to them. Wrong, ya akhi, wrong. There could be another possibility. No, the only possibility is that they hate me. I've been feeling it for 2 months now, and now that I'm seeing this, I'm sure and I'm certain that this confirms what I was seeing and thinking. You're sick. You have a disease of the heart. You shouldn't be thinking that way. Maybe they are discussing that they are planning for you a gift that they want to talk about for a particular purpose because you just passed your exams, or because they feel that you needed this thing and they've been saving money for you. Does it have to be that they are hating you and there's something evil happening? This is ruining our lives. This is ruining our community. There is a lot of ill thinking, a lot of evil thinking. There are a lot of problems that are coming because of the fact that a lot of people are not well thinking of their brothers and sisters. They are always counting on ill thinking about their brothers and sisters. You can't live like that. The Prophet ﷺ was not like that. The scholars of Islam always told us to follow tahsin al-dhan all the way through until you have clear-cut evidence that it is not the case. Then you say, based on the evidence and your feeling, your reading of people, what the inner self is dictating for you, it is not evidence. This is the problem. People think that this is enough evidence for them to continue on a path of judging things and calling them and making false claims. And people who work with a lot of people, they see it on a daily basis. They see it on a daily basis. A lot of people come to them and they claim things about work relations, or in the family, the elder in the family. They all come to him and they're all claiming things. And when they dig deep, these people who have a bit of wisdom, experience in life, and they are pious people, when they dig deep, most of the time you find that you don't end up any place where there is evidence. It ends up being something that has to do with the illness of the inner nafs, self of the person making the claim. And when you say, present your evidence, there is nothing to present. And that is a disease. It's a disease, and it's a cancerous one at that, because it eats at our community. It kills our ties with one another. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, Suzanne. And we have Marquis Goli. Barakallahu fikum for joining us. It kills our ties as a community and as family. Imagine living with people that are always judging you depending on what their inner self dictates. This is a very hard life to live, and this, what it will do, it will remove that sense of peace that usually exists because all of these people are pious, living amongst themselves. You see, when you miss that, you're missing on a lot, and life becomes really, really hard. Husbands and wives thinking the same thing about one another, ill thinking, using ill thinking towards one another, kids and parents the same thing, no trust, and every look has to have a bad meaning, every action has to have a bad meaning. It becomes too troublesome, and it is now currently in the same way. If you have that husn al-dhan, which is well thinking about your brothers and sisters, good thinking, not ill thinking, sound thinking about them, using your emotional intelligence, we will have a much better society and we will have a much better life. That's how things should be. And now when we go deeper into explaining the hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, when he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, but the burden of proof is upon the plaintiff, because you are making the claim. So you prove your case by showing the evidence. وَالْيَمِينُ عَلَى مَنْ أَنْكَرَ, meaning, and what is required of the person who is the defendant, if he doesn't have the evidence to produce, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, then he is required to, he's asked to make an oath, take an oath, and if he takes the oath, which is swearing by Allah, he says Wallahi, for instance, then he is the one who is believed and the charge is dropped by the judge. So what happens technically when it comes to this matter is simple. Someone is, the plaintiff or the claimant is making a claim against this other person. So you've got this person who is the plaintiff, who's making the claim against the defendant. So we've got the plaintiff and the defendant. So this plaintiff, when he comes to the judge and he says, this person did so and so, he's making a claim about a right of his that is taken, this plaintiff, by this defendant. The judge will ask the plaintiff, will ask the defendant, sorry, is this true? It could be finished then and there before bringing any evidence, because the defendant is saying, yes, I did. So the judge will say, okay then, and then he will judge the matter and he will return whatever is due from the defendant to the plaintiff. Case closed, it's finished, it's done. Let's say the judge asked the plaintiff, the plaintiff said to the judge, this is the case. The judge asked the defendant, is this true? And the defendant says, no, it is not true. So now we have two disputants, the ones who have the dispute with one another, and they have this claim from the plaintiff against the defendant. We call them disputants. When the judge asked the defendant, is this true? The defendant said no. The judge then will move to the plaintiff and will ask the plaintiff to produce his evidence. Okay, and if the evidence is there and is strong and it's irrefutable, that's it. The judge will go in favor of the plaintiff because he can prove his case. Now let's say the plaintiff says, I have no proof. I have no proof to present to the judge. Then the judge will turn to the defendant and will ask the defendant to take an oath. So we go back again in this case. The plaintiff is making a claim. The judge asked the defendant, is this true? The defendant said, no, it's not true. The judge goes back to the plaintiff and says, present your evidence. The plaintiff now says, I have no evidence. So what do we have now? A plaintiff without evidence, and we have a defendant who's saying no. So what the judge will do in this case is that he will ask the defendant to take an oath. If the defendant takes the oath and he says, Wallahi, it is not true, then the case is in the favor of the defendant and the judge will rule in his favor and he will reject the claims that are made against the defendant, and he will drop the charges made and pressed by the plaintiff against the defendant. So this is now another case. I'll recap very quickly before we get deeper onto the next one. So we have a plaintiff, we have the judge sitting between them, and we have a defendant. So when the plaintiff came to the judge, he made a claim against this defendant. Now the judge will look at the defendant and will ask him, is this true? If the defendant says, yes, it is, case closed. Why? Because he is admitting. Okay, so I'm admitting that this person did this to me. We went to the judge and the judge says, is this true? Did you do this to him? He says, yes, I did. Khalas, the case is finished. Why? Because he is admitting. He is confessing that yes, I did that. So the case is closed in this case. But let's say the defendant says, no, I didn't do that. Now the judge is looking at two people, one making a claim, we call him plaintiff, claimant, and one defendant against whom the claim is being made is saying no. So plaintiff, defendant, and both are at odds. One is saying yes, the other is saying no. But this is the starter. He is making the claim. We call him plaintiff, al-mudda'i. So in this case, when the defendant said no, I didn't do it, the judge will turn to this plaintiff and will ask him, do you have the evidence? If he can produce the evidence and the evidence is very strong, we don't expect that the defendant is going to be taking an oath and saying no, because that's haram to lie. He will not be doing that and making an oath and lying in an oath, which is great sin. He will not do that, and the case is closed in favor of the claimant because he can produce the evidence, and the evidence is irrefutable. But let's say the plaintiff cannot produce the evidence. So now that's another case. Okay? Plaintiff, defendant, the defendant was asked by the judge, did you do that? Said no. Plaintiff produced evidence. Plaintiff says no evidence. What does the judge do? So here are two people, okay, without any evidence from the plaintiff, and the defendant saying no, I didn't do it. So at that point, the judge will say to the defendant, take an oath. Why? To offset the claim. If the defendant takes the oath, then the judge will rule for the defendant, and he will reject the claim of the plaintiff, and he will drop the charges. But let's say the defendant says no, because he is innocent, he doesn't feel the need to swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to prove his case. He doesn't choose to do that. This is not enough for the judge to deem the case in favor of the plaintiff. He goes back to the plaintiff and he says to the plaintiff, you take an oath that what you're claiming is true. If this plaintiff is willing to take the oath, then, and he does take the oath, then the judge will rule in the favor of the claimant or the plaintiff. This is how it is set in Islam. Now you may need to listen to it again. I may need to recap again. But what does this tell you? It tells you, and this is the other side of tonight's discussion, it tells you that we should not be lightly always swearing by God about everything, and do not teach your children to always swear by Allah. Teach them to be always telling the truth, because what we find these days is that a lot of people use it so lightly that someone, iyadu billah, have reached a point of being so audacious in using the word Wallah al-Azim, I didn't do that, or Uqsimu billah, I didn't do that, I swear by God, I didn't do that, only to get themselves out of trouble. Right, wrong, it doesn't matter to them. They just say it. Are you out of your mind to do this? You are using the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we can't swear by anything other than Allah, and you're willing to use the name of Allah, taking an oath by saying I swear by Allah and lying, a'udhu billah. Don't you fear the punishment from Allah? How can you find it so easy to run it on your tongue and heart and say Wallah al-Azim, I didn't do it, when you know you did it? Or Wallah al-Azim, I did it, when you know you didn't do it? How? Just simple. Are you so big in your inner self that you are so fine and happy to swear by God when you know yourself that you are lying? Don't these people think about a day of judgment? Don't they think about hellfire? Don't they think about the omen of their sin of having sworn by Allah the wrong way, falsely, lying, not telling the truth? And it's easy upon them to use the name of the Creator, their Master, whom they fear, they should be fearing a lot, and they are answerable to on the day of judgment, and they are accountable for their actions, on the day of judgment, and He is the one judging them. Don't they think, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, in their heads? They quickly jump and say, and you see it so much widespread in the community. A lot of people, Mafi, one argument, one word, second word, third word, the fourth word from one of the two parties is, but you know what, Wallah al-Azim, I didn't do it, or I didn't say it. They just want to get themselves out of trouble. And they know, look, I'm going to use now, I'm going to take an oath now, and taking an oath is a big thing. So they realize it's a big thing, but I like to cover my tracks, and I will say it, and this way, that will give me more momentum, and that will give more weight to my case of saying, no, I didn't do it, albeit they know that they did. A'udhu billah. How do you dare think that way? Why would you want to do this? And you see kids nowadays using it, you see merchants and business people and families. يعني بتقول له, are you sure this is what happened? بيقول له, والله العظيم, I was there and I saw it. You find that the one paragraph, dialogue, which constitutes an A4, if you were to transcribe everything, have a transcript of everything that they said, he probably swore 10, 15, 20 times. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Just tell the truth as is. You're not required to swear by Allah, and continue like this and teach your tongue not to. Why? Because you don't want us to keep pushing that, promoting that, all of us using it as a habit. the future generation that will come after us will even find it more light on their hearts and tongues if they don't have piety to actually use it and use it and use it again, whether they're lying or not, because they know it's a weighty means, if you want, that they can produce suddenly to try and deflect some sort of accusation against them. This is something that we do not and we cannot do. And as our brother said, the Prophet ﷺ said, لا يصلح الكذب في جد ولا هزل. And this is true. So we cannot lie. How about lying and using this great technical provision in Islam, which is to take an oath and swear by Allah. So we cannot do that, of course. لا يصلح الكذب في جد ولا هزل. نعم. This is the hadith. So you have to remember to be always pious with your tongue, to not ill think and be bloody minded about your brothers and sisters, not make false claims. And you have to remember that if there is an issue, we always follow the rules of Islam. And you have to remember that from this hadith, this was, if you want, the foundation of all the rulings that come in the judicial matters in Islam. And not only that, it is so beautiful and perfect that the Prophet put it to us, and in the Quran it is stated to us that a lot of cultures, non-Muslim cultures, have taken that and used it as the blueprint for them putting their laws together in terms of their judicial systems. So they owe, the whole world owes it to the Prophet ﷺ for trying to define these sets of rules and the way to rule and the rulings that are derived from that. A lot of cultures that are non-Muslim cultures and non-Arabic at that, they have used these systems and they have changed few things here and there, but they rest in their foundation. Like the sentence that I've told you, that a person is presumed, the defendant is presumed innocent until proven otherwise through evidence. And evidence is the evidence is all means that prove the truth. Any means that can prove the truth is called evidence, and you go where the evidence takes you. So in Islam, someone is making a claim, as we said in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, in hadith number 33 from the Nawawiyy book. A person makes a claim, the judge will ask the defendant, is it true? He says no, it is not true. He says yes, it is true. Case is finished because he is confessing. He says no, it's not true. Judge looks at the complainant, at the plaintiff, at the claimant, and he says to him, produce your evidence, because the defendant is saying no. So he produces the evidence. The evidence is irrefutable. What happens after that is that the judge will rule in the favor of the plaintiff, of the claimant, when he pressed the charges, and he will confirm the charges against the defendant, and he will order him of what to do next in returning the due rights to this plaintiff. But if the plaintiff does not produce the evidence, he says, I have no evidence, then the judge will ask the defendant to take an oath. If he takes the oath, then the balance shifts towards the defendant, and then the judge will drop the charges and will rule in favor of the defendant, because this plaintiff is making a claim which is usually against what is apparent and has not been established in the past. So his case is weak usually, and that's why the burden of the proof is on the plaintiff, on the person who's making the claim. So the defendant now, since he couldn't present the evidence, this plaintiff, by him swearing by Allah that he didn't, or that it's not true, that's it, the judge will rule in his favor. But if he says, no, I don't want to, because it's a big thing, you don't just throw your mouth and say, Wallahi. If he chooses not to, then it's not enough for the judge to say, according to Imam Shafi'i, well, because he refused this defendant to take an oath and swear by Allah while the plaintiff is just making a claim, that's enough for me to call it. No, he can't call it yet. He will go back, according to Shafi'i, to the plaintiff, and he will say to him, you take an oath and swear by Allah because you didn't present evidence that your claim is correct. If he does that, then the judge will rule in favor of the plaintiff. There you've got it. That is the lesson for tonight. It's a short lesson. It's a sweet lesson. I think some of you will also saying that these lessons are taking a lot of time, but we learn a lot of things from this lesson. We learn that there is a way, a system in Islam. It's a beautiful system. The whole world has learned from it. The rules of protecting people's honors and lands and rights are in Islam first and foremost, and from us, everybody else took them, and you feel free of liability simply because of power or dynasty or people above you or people that rule you. They cannot just throw their mouths and their words around and make claims, because we are free of liability in Islam until it is proven otherwise. And even then, there is the burden of the proof that lays with the person making the claim, and you have a way, and your word is so powerful when you swear by Allah, so do not use that except in the proper way. We also learn from the lesson tonight that we should not be ill-thinking, bloody-minded all the way through about our brothers and sisters and families and workers and co-workers, because we are just saying, really, for someone who knows about these things, the onlooker will look at you and think that you really have weaknesses within. That's where this is coming from, because you're not basing it on evidence. You're just simply throwing your words out and lashing out at people making claims all the way through without any evidence. And when the scholars said you need to be smart, to use well thinking instead of ill thinking, because people who ill think of others, they're not smart. The people who use well thinking of others and are not ill-minded about others are the smart ones. Why? Because they can find in their heads an explanation that it could be a possibility, and that's good enough to put the issue to rest without driving it towards them attacking themselves with their own way of thinking, attacking themselves through the words or the actions of the other person, because they have intelligence. They can deflect it, not let it affect them simply by thinking that this could have meant 1, 2, 3. Why should I take it this way? And if you follow this, you really have a restful, peaceful life, because then you can enjoy family, you can enjoy co-workers, and you feel at peace with yourself. مثل ما قلت لكم من طاب من حسن ظنه طاب عيشه. And the last thing that we remember now with the lesson is not to shoot our mouth off by swearing by God all the time and teaching the kids and our community that it's a fine thing, because we're running the risk of letting people then go too light on this issue and then wanting to defend themselves, lie about it and use it as a weighty matter in Islam, as a provision that they know has a lot of worth in Islam, a great worth in Islam, because they're using the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then they start saying wallahi, wallahi, wallahi when they are lying. And every one of them is a great sin when they are lying. So learn all these things, barakallahu fikum, and remember all these matters, because they are all very, very, very important. So barakallahu fikum, this is our lesson for tonight, and inshallah ta'ala I hope you've enjoyed it. Now the usuals, now we can talk a little bit, I think. The usuals, and Allah ta'ala knows best. The usuals is for everyone that is just joined us, please go on YouTube, find my name, Wissam Saad, and then when you see the word subscribe, press the red button subscribe, and let's get more people to subscribe. This link that our sister put there on YouTube, every one of you take the link that she pressed, and what you do, put it on your WhatsApp groups, put it on your Facebook, and send it to everyone that you know. We need to get our numbers up. The other thing is, keep sharing. Keep sharing. Do not think, no, why would I share it? Somebody else I know has mutual friends like me, he probably shared it. It doesn't matter. Keep sharing it. Keep sending it to other people. Always do that. And take the link and share it on your WhatsApp as well. And write more comments. So even if you finish the lesson tonight, put your opinion. Tell me what you've learned. Not your opinion on the matters of the religion, but what you've learned from the lesson tonight. When people go back and they see that we have hundreds or 800 comments or 900 or 1,000 comments, they will become intrigued and say, why, what's going on? So they listen to the lesson, and maybe Allah will guide them to us, and then we can have a larger network of people watching and learning with us. So barakallahu fikum, this is very, very important, and I would like all of you to do this so that we can have a bigger and a larger network of people to work with us. Here you've got that's our lesson for tonight, and Allah Ta'ala knows best. Now all of us, we say in your individual homes, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. رب اغفر لي وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات. رب اغفر لي وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات. رب اغفر لي وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات. MashaAllah, we have Sheikh Shadi Al-Qasim with us as well. And we have brother Muhammad Sabbar is watching us. And there are a few that I didn't acknowledge tonight. Barakallahu fikum, we have Meir Ashan and brother Yahya Al-Kot. Barakallahu fikum for joining us, all of you. My daughter as well, Ruwaida Saad. How are you, Ruwaida? It's good to have you with us. MashaAllah. And many others. Brother Atif Naini and sister Indriyani, I think. Barakallahu fikum. It's good to have you all here with us. Brother Fadi Al-Ayyubi. Barakallahu fiq. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Akhi Fadi. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. And brother Wa'il Bayati. It's good to have you here with us as well. If anybody wants to leave a comment now or ask a question, we still have a bit of time if you wish. Otherwise, we will call it a night, inshallah ta'ala, and we can, inshallah, enjoy our next lesson. Now I've got a question that I want to put out to you. Last time we gave a lesson. We have Sister Abir, Barakallahu Fiki, Ukhna Abir, and Sister Kawkab Al-Ayyubi, Barakallahu Fiki, Ahlan wa Sahlan. I want to put out a question to you. Can you answer me with one, if you wish to have that, and with two, if you think you can't attend, not that you want to say two to this one, which is a no. I'm thinking, seeing what happened with the lesson last time that we gave about raising children. We had a lot of interest from people, we had a lot of messages from people, and people wanted to know more about this, and they were messaging me on the private. I was thinking, just a thought, how about if we go for another lesson on a Wednesday, and on the Saturday we keep continuing with books, so when we finish Nawawiyy we start with another book and it becomes regular, inshallah ta'ala, with whatever next book we're going to choose. And Wednesdays we pick different topics, so we pick, for instance, next topic, mums and dads. How do we treat mums and dads, and be directed to the children? Instead of directing the lesson to the parents, how to raise their children, we will direct the lesson to the children to know how to deal with their parents. And we can talk about teaching them ethics and how to deal with their with money matters, for instance. And because there are a lot of Islamic rulings around these. We can talk about relationships between husbands and wives. So real issues that we can discuss and give a lesson about. So if we were to do this and to talk about other matters in Islam that are very, very important, do you think, inshallah ta'ala, that you are all on board if we give a lesson on Wednesday as well? I want your opinion to see, and if you can tell me the list of topics that you want me to talk about. So I'm requesting from all of you now, not only to send me one or two if you think not enough time, not that you want to say two to saying no lesson. No, none of you would do that. You are all people who love the religion, otherwise you wouldn't be watching. But you can say two, meaning you won't be able to watch, or you'll be busy or something. But I was thinking of doing a Wednesday lesson, and what I want from you now is to send me a list of topics that you think as a community you would like us to talk about. MashaAllah, we have more people. We have MWT Victoria watching, and we have Sister Reem Haddad, Barakallahu Fiki Yareem, for watching. See, we have one here, Muslima Alhamdulillah wrote a topic that she would like us to talk about, which is what a Muslim might face at work. That's a very powerful topic on its own. I get a lot of questions from a lot of people about what do we do when we are at work. They are faced with many issues. They want to pray. What do they do? How do they approach it? They want to do wudu. Can they, ala za'mun, some of them, they tell me, can we not pray until we get home? The quick answer to that is no, you have to pray. So there are a lot of very important issues. Neighbors that are Muslim or non-Muslims all around you. Money, how do I think about money? Where do I put it in my life? How do I spend it? How do I use it? What are the dues upon me when it comes to money? Should I save or not save? If I save money, am I someone who is attached to this world, or can I save? And what is the judgment regarding all of this? There are a lot of issues that if you send me a list about those issues, I'll be more than happy to, inshallah ta'ala, give you a lesson about it. If I know, if I don't know, I'll get the knowledge and I will inshallah ta'ala convey it to you so that we can all be as well practical, and it can be anything and everything. There are a lot of issues to discuss. I myself in my head, I have so many topics that I think we should talk about, and like, you know, take the simplest one, which is what is the real truth in Islam about young and old? What is the difference between the two, and how do we do this, and what do we teach our kids about this? Okay, there are a lot of people that don't know these things, and we need to, you know, upskill them and train them on these issues. So there are a lot of issues, bank issues for instance. Someone is saying, so send me your ones, you know, write one or thumbs up if you wish, to tell me that you are happy to have a Wednesday lesson, and send me a list of the topics that you would like me to, inshallah ta'ala, talk about them in our Wednesday lesson. If we're all on board, inshallah ta'ala, at 9 o'clock Wednesday, we will give, inshallah, the first Wednesday lesson, and I'll keep it a surprise as to what the lesson will be about. For now, we'll probably have an ad that some of our brothers and sisters that help me on my Facebook page will probably do a design, and will write the topic, and I'll prepare for the topic, and then we can also talk about it. And that's coming from our last session, because the last session we had was about raising kids and raising children. A lot of people sent a lot of comments. Women in Islam, we hear so little about that, Sheikhi. Yes, that's a big topic. Women in Islam, it is a huge topic. There's so much owed to the women. There's so much that the women must do. There is so much that relates to the judgments regarding women, and women when they are just girls, or whether they are mothers, or whether they are wives. So it's a big topic for the female in Islam, or she is a daughter, or if she is a mother-in-law. So there's a lot encompassing with the woman, and there's a lot to talk about. So inshallah ta'ala, if we're all on board, I'll see you 9 o'clock on Wednesday, and we will prepare another lesson, but it will not be the Nawawiyy, it will be something else, inshallah ta'ala. Barakallahu fikum, all of you, for sending your ones, and please take a moment and really think about a problem that you are facing, that you want it to be turned into a topic, because then we can all benefit from you bringing up this topic, so that we can unpack it. It's always there in the religion, but we probably never brought it to surface, because there was no need. Nobody is raising the issue, but there could be an issue, and it needs to be raised. So please send me your commentary on that, and inshallah ta'ala, I will see you next week. Before we go, last thing, make sure that you are sharing. We need to beat our 260 shares from last week's lesson, and we need to beat our 4,400 views. You need to go and find different groups on the internet and communicate with them, send them a message, tell them I want to post these videos for this person. Start engaging with them a little bit, and get us to be really out there, not just getting 4,000 views. If we can get 40,000 and 400,000 views, that wouldn't go astray, because as you know, we always teach people about the Aqidah as well, and we save them, and that's our ultimate goal, and that's why we have all these lessons. And always in our lessons we bring up these matters every now and then. Sometimes we don't, but the core of our teaching rests on that. So make sure that you send a link to all the people that you know. Make sure that you go to my YouTube page, find Wissam Saad, press subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Make sure that you send that link of the YouTube and the lesson tonight to everyone on WhatsApp and on Facebook and on Instagram, and other things that you guys know about that I may not be well or cognizant of. So barakallahu fikum. May you all have a safe and happy day or night, wherever you are around the world. And inshallah ta'ala, I will see you next Wednesday to start with our first topic. Barakallahu fikum. Allah ta'ala yajma'una fil jannah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu.